Sean Dyche got a dilemma for Saturday? No. There's no dilemma about it. There's no conversation about it. Everton looks a lot more balanced with Jarrad Branthwaite against Crystal Palace. And the games where we've conceded goals this season, Michael Keane's been at the heart of. And I'm not blaming him solely for the goals we've conceded this season, but he's been part of the problem. Aston Villa springs to mind straight away with Ollie Watkins jumping above him, which Leicester shouldn't be happening. Well. Leicester away in the penalty area. There's been a lot of examples. Bournemouth, when the ball was just in the box and you left, who's marking up here? Tottenham away, 4-0, and Brighton 3-0 on the opening. There's been a lot of examples this season where, and it's quite easy for Evertonians to forget, like on the back of the euphoria of a win, Michael Keane, great goal and all this. We've seen 8 years of Michael Keane. Do you know what I mean? He's not the best as defender. He's a steady squad player for Everton at best. Hence why I don't get this logic as well. I've seen a lot of conversation on social media. You probably have yourself, Ian, in terms of, has Sean Dyche got a dilemma for Saturday? No. There's no dilemma about it. There's no conversation about it.
I'll have to change the title of this podcast then.
There's no, seriously, there's no dilemma whatsoever. I just don't see the reckoning or the reason behind it, because one player scores a goal and had, 2 good games against a Newcastle team that's had no centre forwards on the pitch, and against the poor Ipswich team, so we keep him in against Fulham. No, I'm not having it. One player's going for a free transfer at the end of the season, and Michael Keane, we've had 8 years from. We've seen enough of what Michael Keane's got to offer in 8 years. And now we've got a player who the best clubs in the world want to target for 100 million in the summer. There's no reasoning behind any kind of a dilemma whatsoever. And not just in terms of quality as well. It's what they bring to the Everton team. Michael Keane, when he's playing, there's just sort of there's an aura about the team which you're going, what are you in here? Set pieces, balls in the box. And even though Michael Keane's a big lad himself, when Jarrad Branthwaite's in the team, there's an assurance about the whole back five, the goalkeeper, the 2 centre-backs, the full-backs. All of a sudden, everyone knows the job. Whereas when Michael Keane is on that pitch, and I'm not singling him out as he's the sole reason behind it, but the balance of the team just doesn't look right at all when he's at the heart of it.
I think this is in reference to what you're speaking about right now, but Alex Jones says facts. So I think he referenced that you're talking facts.
About Jarrad Branthwaite and Michael Keane. Honestly, I don't... Listen, one player's going for 100 million and one player's going for a free at the end of the season. Yeah. And if you think about it, would you be giving Michael Keane another contract at the end of the year? If anything, you'd say, do you know what? You're a squad player at best. There's a 1-year extension. That is it, maximum. You wouldn't be offering him any other kind of deal. Who would he go to?
It's too early to give an answer to that right now, I think, whether he gets a new contract or not. I think we need the new owner to come in and, for assessments to be made on the entire squad, because the only reason I would suggest that, we're going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's a good question. The only reason I would suggest that it's a yes is because the amount of players that we're losing in the summer and the lack of squad depth. Mm-hmm. So,
we end up with 11. I think there's 10, 11 players left in the whole squad.
That's what I mean. So I don't think it's out the equation that he does get a new contract, no more than a year. Yeah. But he might just think, sod this, I don't need this, I could go somewhere else.
Does he go anywhere else?
Is he going to go anywhere bigger, higher than Everton? I mean, speaking from the blue bubble, probably not. But I don't think it's out of the equation to say you could go to like a West Ham, or I don't know whether Brighton would want a defender like Michael Keane. I don't know. I'm just trying to
so outside the top 8, 9 clubs,
he's not going to any of them.
He's not getting in any of them teams. He's not getting in any of the starting lineups in any of the mid-table teams. He's not getting in our starting lineup. He shouldn't be in Everton's starting lineup. Yeah. He's a squad player at best.
Okay, well, I'd say we'd come on to this, but you're already on it. So we'll carry on with it. I think the general consensus among Blues is unanimous, and that Jarrad Branthwaite should return, and I completely agree. But I also agree with what Chris said on Monday, in Monday's pod. It would be extremely harsh to drop Michael Keane on the back of what's happened over the past couple of weeks. Given all of that, and given basically Jarrad Branthwaite's fitness issues that he's had over the past couple of weeks, given James Tarkowski's fitness and injury issues that he's had over the past couple of weeks, is it out of the equation, or would you consider bringing Branthwaite in and resting Tarkowski to keep Michael Keane in the team. I mean, Tarkowski has been poor this season, there's no question. And I think it's obviously, there's a lot of factors with regarding that. It's because his long-term defensive partner, Jarrad Branthwaite, has been out the team. He's obviously been suffering with injuries, fitness issues. Is this not a good time then to say, listen, James, you're not dropped, you just rested for the time being?
For Michael Keane.
For Michael Keane. I'm just
you play your best team. If you're looking to win games of football, we're not here because we're not playing players because they've had 2 good games against a team that played with no centre forwards and a team that's getting relegated this season. So on the basis of that, we should be playing. No, you can't work football out like that. You play your best team. Jarrad Branthwaite and James Tarkowski are one of the success stories that are few and far between in the past 2 years on the pitch at Everton. A brilliant combination. They're a great partnership. Between them two and Pickford, Everton had one of the best defensive records in the Premier League last season. You don't mess about with it. Regardless of if players have a little bit of dip in form, you know quite well that they're going to be up for it. Fulham are obviously going to have Jimenez playing up front for them, whereas against Newcastle, he had nothing to cope with. And obviously Ipswich had Delap running around, kicking lumps out of everyone, which just didn't make sense. So, no, Michael Keane, he's played okay. I think he hasn't pulled up any trees, by the way. He's been okay in the previous 2 games.
Is it because of his goal?
Of course it is. Of course it is. If Michael Keane doesn't score, no one talks about him. No one talks about him. We've beaten Ipswich 2-0, happy days. Illumin's eye to start the show again, like the previous game. No one's talking about the previous first 5 or 6 games of the season, when he was partly responsible for half the goals that we conceded. Yeah. So everyone forgets about that, but going on the back of, we beat Ipswich 2-0 and he scored a thunderbolt. Well, I'm sorry, no, we want to beat Fulham. And if you want to beat Fulham, you need to play your best team. I
mean, Fulham are definitely not the best team in the league, but they're definitely going to be on another level to Ipswich, aren't they?
Oh, they're a threat. They're a threat, Fulham. They're attack-minded. They'll score goals. It's very rare that they don't score goals. Marco Silva will obviously get one over on his former employers. And I think that Everton generally do have a very good record against Fulham at home. But it's Saturday night, it's under the lights, it's Goodison Park, the atmosphere is going to be great. Don't mess about with starting lineups. You can't play players on the basis of having one good, half a decent game against the promoted side. And because he scores a Walesy from 10 yards, doesn't make him a certain starter when you've got potentially European's best left-footed defender. Seriously, Jarrad Branthwaite will get in most sides in Europe. He's gonna get in. Obviously, the World Cup squads. He'll probably be starting for England, and we're having a dilemma and a conversation about starting Michael Keane or Jarrad Branthwaite. It just doesn't make sense. We're probably thinking. You just made a reference there about going back to the Ronald Koeman podcast in many years gone. We'll probably make a reference to this one if England do well in the World Cup. And we've just been having a conversation about Jarrad Branthwaite and Michael Keane. Who starts when Jarrad Branthwaite's probably in the England team going to the latter end of the World Cup competition?
No, there's no debate about it from me. I knew, obviously, because we're doing a podcast, it's a topic of discussion, isn't it? And I knew we'd have the same opinion, and I'll read out some of the comments now that people are putting on the stream. But I think for all intents and purposes, Jarrad Branthwaite's attitude over the past 6 to 12 months, whatever, has been impeccable. He hasn't spat his dummy out, he hasn't kicked up a fuss, he's got on with the job, even though he's known his future has been up for, debate, or whether United were going to come in for him and they wanted to get that deal over the line. I think, from his point of view, I know he's been unfit, he's had a couple of injuries and he's coming back. I mean, he might not even be fully fit come Saturday.
But apparently he could have played against Ipswich, but Dyche probably thought that we'll get away with it against Ipswich.
And it's bought him a little bit more time to get fitter again. What I think the point I'm trying to make is, if Jarrad Branthwaite is fit, which we all think that he's going to be, and he doesn't get in that team, he might think in the back of his mind, hang on a minute, like, I'm far better than James Tarkowski and Michael Keane, and I'm not getting it out of them. Man United wanted to buy me for millions of pounds in the summer. I'm everything that you've just called Jarrad Branthwaite. England's best next centre defender, and he can't get in the team. I agree with you completely. I'm just thinking in the back of his mind, if Dyche makes it,
Well, can you imagine the scenario if Branthwaite is on the bench, Michael Keane does start, and Everton concede early? Can you imagine?
A mistake or something
exactly. You don't want that. You don't mess about in the Premier League. You can get away with it against Ipswich because Ipswich didn't have much to throw at us. And again, against Newcastle, they played with no centre forwards. So we got away with it there. But let's make no bones about it. You're playing your best team. And Jarrad Branthwaite is Europe's, I'd say, top 10 defenders. Hence why he's quoted for 80, 90 million, and he'll be a certain starter for England in the World Cup.